joist in on the second story upstairs. And that's what, 18 footers. Putting them in the old way, in that brick.
David probably is more like my dad, where he knows in the next hour where his feet's going to be, and on his hands is going to be, and what he needs to do. Now see, and I play it by the seat of my pants, or whatever you want to call it. I have to be inspired to do things, and all of a sudden, if I lose my inspiration or drive, I go do something else. David is a good influence, and so I've always tried to maneuver him over here. And what he does so well that you don't have to do it again, and it doesn't cause any future problems. He just has a unique approach to it. He does it, and he likes to pace himself. And so as we done the walls and the floor joists and the flooring, then we went on up, and that was mostly his planning to go ahead and have a safe, sturdy, and permanent type situation and build on that. And he's had a lot of experience with building. And I never was a carpenter or craftsman like that, or a brick mason or anything, but I could do it, but I could never stay on it to acquire the type of skill he had.
Got started. When we started, that's about it. 1/1000th done.
The land where the brick house is located is called the Wea Plains because before the settlement of white man in this area, the Weatnan or Wea Indians hunted and farmed the plains. Every fall, the Wea would burn the grasslands to prevent any trees and brush from growing there. Across the Wabash River from this fertile prairie land is Fort Weatnan. Established in 1717 by French colonizing forces, Fort Weatnan flourished from 1720 to 1760. The French and the Wea existed peacefully in the Wabash Valley during this time. Each fall, the Tippecanoe County Historical Association brings this peaceful era of history back to life at the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. Thousands of participants and spectators gather to recapture this most colorful period of our country's history. The Wea Indians continued to live in settlements along the Wabash River on the Wea Plains through the first part of the 19th century. But after several treaties with the United States government, the Wea moved west and no longer lived on the Wea Plains when Tippecanoe County was established in 1826. The property where the old brick would be built was purchased shortly after that time. The abstract for the property shows the original land grant owner was Jacob D. Lutz from Ohio.
Jacob D. is the one who bought the land, right. He's the one that had the land grant. He's the one who rode his horse over to Crawfordsville. He never even saw the land. Pickaway County, that's where they lived. They moved from Pennsylvania to Ohio in 1803.
Jacob DeMuth Lutz was a judge from Pickaway County, Ohio. This veteran of the War of 1812 traveled to Crawfordsville, Indiana in 1830 to purchase the original land patents for several parcels of farmland in the Weah Plains.
He bought the land as an investment for his sons because they had a very large family, I think maybe 10 children. And as each son got married, he gave them the land so that they could come over here and start farming. They were all farmers.
Jesse B. Lutz was the first son to leave Ohio for Indiana.
Jesse B. was the oldest, but he didn't keep his farm. And he moved to West Lafayette. He was a real good friend of John Purdue's.
In 1855, Jesse B. Lutz surveyed and converted into lots the town of Kingston. Kingston, built on land mostly owned by Jesse B. Lutz, was the first settlement in what is now the city of West Lafayette. Jesse B. Lutz's farm and his wife's family farm would eventually become part of Purdue University.
There's Lutz Street in West Lafayette. It was named for Jesse. Some of the property he owned is a corner of where they built Morton School, which is the West Lafayette Grade School. And he left it to the city with the stipulation it was to be used for education.
Jesse B. Lutz apparently never used the land his father had purchased in 1830, but several of his brothers did.
Nelson and my grandfather Isaac B. and Edmund only stayed for a few years, and he sold it and moved to Kansas City. But the other three brothers, Samuel, Nelson, and Isaac, all settled and were farmers in the area in Union Township, or it used to be Wayne when they did it.
In 1852, over 20 years after the land purchase, Jacob D. Lutz transferred ownership of the land where the brick house would be built to his son, Isaac B. Lutz. Isaac had married Lydia Morris that year and moved to the Indiana Prairie Land with his new bride. Here their family grew and prospered. The 1860 census lists 3 children, a Swedish farm laborer, and a servant living with the Lutz family. They were all living in this frame house that still stands today. Obviously needing more space, they built the magnificent brick home that is the subject of this program sometime during or just after the Civil War.
The house was built after the Civil War, which would have been 1865-66. So my grandfather was born in 1860, and if you get the magnifying glass, it's kind of hard out to see, but I felt like the 5 children are in this picture. So if that's the case, then it was probably in 1870 or so that the picture was taken. Now, it might have been late 1860, but, and there's 2 women standing on the front porch. I have no idea who they are. Did you see this, Jerome, that Mary Callahan, she's a daughter of one of the brothers, and she feels that, she said our house was worth, was built for $10,000.
Our house?
The old brick,